A very warm welcome to our royal patron, Ashi Dorji Wangmo Wangchuk, and to all the friends and supporters of the festival gathered here for a stimulating encounter with books and ideas spread over the next few days.
It took 3 good long years to complete this monastery, as compared to the 6 months it took to build the 108 temples in Dochala, because it is right there on the highway. And it was a labor of great love. I walked up team times through this beautiful walk to our hike, and I would urge all of you, if you haven't been there, to make this walk. It's beautiful, you must go there.
Well, I would have to be pushed there and it would take me 4 hours to get there, but
I'll carry you there.
You've carried us there with your words anyway.
My questions will go to our friends from India. 2 questions. We've talked about different stakeholders being part of this, the gender violation that's happening in India. I wonder if the cinema or the filmmakers could play a role in it, because growing up in Bhutan, most of the old Hindi movies, we see a lot of the things that you described about the zamindars, sexual harassment, and the big gundas being behind a lot of that.
Basically, commercial Hindi cinema has manufactured a certain Indian identity and imposed it upon all of India, where it completely homogenizes and obliterates all differences, all ethnic differences.
And I'm going to agree and disagree with Aparna on this one. First is, let's be very clear that no film has ever taught men to throw acid on women's faces. Television does not teach women to hang widows by their hair till they die. And advertising has never even subliminally supported gang rape. So let's be very clear about the fact that we should not be throwing the baby out with the bathwater. However, having put that down, we need to have perspective. One is that, I'm going to take the item number argument a little bit further. It is the ultimate failure of a filmmaker. What you're trying to say is, at this point, my story is not going to hold you. Nor is the acting, nor is the writing. So here's a half-naked girl. At least I'll get you back into concentration.
In 1999, when I wanted to go and report from the front line, the army kept telling me that you can't go because you're a woman. And I kept saying, why can't I go? And the reasons that they give you are, there's no loo. What will you do? I mean, this was the best they could come up with. And I said, I'll go behind a rock just like everybody else. But it was, it made me self-conscious when I was covering the war, because so much had been made of my gender, that I said, if I show any emotion, they're going to say you're girly. And I think women grapple with that. I think women who want to show that they are people of strength and they cannot be broken easily, sometimes take a little longer to find their own emotional centers because they are apprehensive of being judged as soft. I am one of those who has gone through a journey of being worried about being judged as too soft. I will also say that sometimes being a woman can be an advantage and sometimes it can be a disadvantage. Sometimes you will do work that will be noticed more because you were a woman doing that work. I don't want to be known as a woman journalist who covered the Kargil war. I was just a journalist who covered the war. Judge me on my work. But equally, misogyny is subtle, it's entrenched, it's there. I still believe that women have to be better than men to get to the same place. I think women have to be more thick-skinned than men. Women in public spaces have to be much more thick-skinned than men because they will get talked about a lot more and in language that is a lot worse. But it's okay, you deal with it.
To me, these stories are timeless and they need to be ours now. So wherever possible, where I felt that the attire or the costumes or the jewelry or things were getting in the way of the characters being accessible and contemporary, I just eased out the excess and kept it simple. So my Gandhari is dressed in woolen Firan kind of a clothes. She's got different jewelry and that's okay. That's part of how I see it. My Devlok, or the realm of the gods, is culled out of pages of Vanity Fairs and Esquires and Vogues and the Devlok magazines which exist right now in our day.
Congratulations on a fabulous book. How open is the publishing world to this format, and did you struggle initially to find a sympathetic publisher or somebody who had the same vision as you did?
Just maybe first mover's advantage, maybe just meeting the right people, but I have not had to fight hard. The first publisher that I spoke to was the one who published my first and second books, And it's loving and it's encouraging, and they've produced a book that was beyond my expectations. If you touch it, it's a beautiful object. It's a really beautiful object. So I guess I'm a lucky bunny. I don't know what to say.
I'm very pleased to be able to introduce Mr. Amish Chapati, a self-described boring banker termed happy author. It's a fallacy to think that a good book sells itself. I can give you a long list of books that I think should have been bestsellers, but nobody's heard of. So I wondered if you could talk a little bit about the marketing and distributing campaign that you did for your books.
You know, when you're writing the book, you cannot be thinking about the market. The book has to be written with the honesty of your heart, all right? And you cannot change the book to appeal to a market, because trust me, that doesn't work. But once you finish the book, then you need to be a pragmatic guy and figure out, okay, how do I position this? How do I sell this? You have to answer a few questions. Who are the guys who will probably like this book, okay? Why will they like it, right? And how do I get to them? We said, look, we're printing it, you know, and with the same cover as the main book, and we're giving it to you free of cost. All you have to do is distribute it. I didn't think, perhaps because the idea had never been tried before, the retailers didn't realize the implication of what they were agreeing to. They were giving me display space free of cost, but they didn't realize it. So my free booklets were displayed at the cash counter, which, if you think about it, is prime display space, okay? Because customers come, he's waiting to buy his book, he's waiting for his bill, he has absolutely nothing to do. He sees a booklet out there with an interesting looking cover saying free of cost, and okay, so let's pick it up, you know, and that worked for us.
The book that you want to write is going to be a magnificent book, but it will not get written until you write it.
True.
The world does not need another book. It does not. You think about your bookshelves. You have a pile of books that you have to read, that you have bought and have not read. They stare at you guiltily and they say, you should be reading me, and then you go and buy 50 Shades of Grey and you start reading that. I get that. So no one needs another book. The only person who needs to write that book is you. You need to write the book. You need to get it out of your system. You need to put it out there because it's your book. If you do not give your time to that book, no one else will. The world will pass you by. Meeta and Satya, both of whom have talked to me about the books that they are supposed to be writing.
No, I've written mine. It's
so,
just that I have to finish it.
No, finish
For which
it.
I've booked a little place in Ranikhet.
Whatever
That's a
floats
hint.
your boat. You know, when I go to Ranikhet, nice places like, come to Ranikhet.
That's what I'm saying.
Yes. It's a deal.
Not too many authors are privileged, first-time authors I would say, are privileged with Amitav Ghosh offering to read the manuscript before it goes to print. Now that is something extraordinary that has been achieved here.
My book is really a biography, a family biography. It's not a work of fiction. I have written it as a human interest story, set of course in its historical, political, cultural and social context, without which it would not have had much meaning. Basically, it's a story of a family that had it all, power, glory, unimaginable wealth. And then the inescapable tide of history swept it all away, and they lost it all.
I failed to explain to my grandchildren as how this Bhutan appeared to be, as is known now as Bhutan. If Lemba the historians are still figuring out, how did the name Bhutan came. But I think Bhutan is something like, I equate it to like, the Japanese call themselves Nippon. Okay, they don't call themselves Japan. But the rest of the world calls them Japan. And similarly in Bhutan also we say Tukyu, okay, or Tukyaka. But for the rest of the world we say we are Bhutan. But there's a lot of theory. I see other historians sitting here, and I think they have been also grappling with that same issue as to when Bhutan became Bhutan.
I think we are trying to adjust, and actually adjusting means we are trying to peacefully hand over everything to the younger generation. Compared to the last batch of ministers, you can see a much younger lot. I think there's a difference of nearly 15 to 20 years between the two groups of...
So we have a lot to learn, I think, from Bhutan.
My impression of this country, which I love, is that it's a country which is deeply culturally rooted. It's a country where you will find that I think when Bhutanese go abroad to study, statistically I think there must be the least number of people who stay back, even though salaries could be much higher. They come back to Bhutan.
In India, as far as I'm aware, the tribals have also ancient cultures. And these tribals reside in forests. And under the forest wealth are all the minerals.
Yes.
And these are being extracted so that our GDP may grow. Here in Bhutan also, there is fantastic wealth. And including mineral, including forest. And as democracy takes hold and people start demanding, and there are lots of pulls and pressures and sectoral things happen. Learning from India's experience, I was wondering what kind of challenges one pose to oneself now so that the young democracy can take a stronger and firmer root.
So in order to do this, we do allow mineral extraction. We have cement plants where we extract a lot of limestone and gypsum. We have a lot of extraction with, in respect of other minerals as well as stones, boulders, etc. So I think, but this is done in such a way that prior to any extractive industries being permitted, we have this environment studies done so as to ensure that the environment as well as the social well-being, where the people are also consulted as to whether we could extract from certain areas.
Tell me, do you have any other wild tales? I mean, when you talk about wild tales from the wild, tell us one and I'll tell you one.
All right. So here I was saying, the elephant, and this is the gestation, and this is what happened, and this is what happened, and I was showing off and, saying double multiply the circumference of the 4 foot into 2, and you get the height, and this is dung, and all that rubbish. So anyway, so suddenly I looked to the left, and there's this elephant killer, and he's in here. He's charging us. So, I got lost. I was talking about the sloth bear. No, I'm going to go on the sloth bear. So, all right. So on the sloth bear, I turned around at the same place, and I saw the sloth bear charging us. And as the sloth bear turned around, and he looked at us, and he started coming for us, I started screaming from the back, because we normally have a guide in front and one at the back. And this fellow saying, boss, help me. So I said, Nanju, you idiot, there's a sloth bear attacking us. And this is all happening in Kannada, but anyway, this bloody thing, I said, Nanju, take the clients and go. I'm standing in front. Now this is real time, because now it's a question of getting my things removed, the intestines I meant. Because that bear can do damage. So I'm saying, Nanju, take the clients and go. I'm standing up front. Nanju, and he's saying, no, boss, you need to help me. So I said, no, I can't help you, Nanju. And this is all happening in real time, and that thing came. So I shot the first one in the air. The second one I shot in the ground, thank God. It hit a rock or some splinter, and this bloody bear turned around, flipped around, went straight up the hill. So I turned around and I said, you bloody fool, you're supposed to, the drill is that I take the brunt of the charge and you take the clients and you go. And so when I turned around, there was this 65-year-old lady who was lusting for Nanju, and she was sitting on me. And so, there are things which happen in the bush. I tell you, they only happen in the bush. And I was looking at this, and the rest of the clients were screaming at me, and I was looking at this, and I couldn't help it. I just burst out laughing. I said, this is amazing.